Tesla disrupted the automotive industry. SpaceX has disrupted the space launch industry. Early investors have been well rewarded. There is a belief right now that Joby Aviation could be next in line to disrupt urban air mobility, the eVTOL industry. Could it be a 10x opportunity? The past few weeks have been very volatile for investors. So we see a lot of investors de-risking. They're moving money away from growth stocks because of rising interest rates, especially as the US Federal Reserve tries to control inflation. And what's even riskier also is investing right now in pre-revenue companies. So today, I'm going to talk with Anil Sagar, who's been on this channel before, to talk about just what is it like being an early investor to a company called Joby Aviation, which is an electric VTOL, a vertical takeoff and landing company. It's a very nascent industry. There's a lot of disruption happening, but many people are also fearful in current climate. Anil, welcome back to the channel. What should the audience know about you as an investor?
As you might have seen in the last video where I talked about Tesla, I was an early investor of Tesla because I always believed in disruption and I always believed in sustainability and I always believed in game-changing companies. Talking about the Joby Aviation, how I came to know about this company is partly because of Tesla and Elon Musk. You might be surprised why, right? Mm-hmm. If you have been following Elon and Tesla, Elon once said that he's dying to build an eVTOL.
Okay.
Right? But his brain will explode if he get into that because he's already too busy with SpaceX, Tesla, and Boring Company and bot he's building and the new neural networks and all those things he's building, Neuralink and other companies, right? So I was very curious, like, only Tesla has to solve this problem? Is anyone else solving the problem? So that's how I came across Joby Aviation, and it is very, very promising for me, and that's how I started becoming early investor of Joby Aviation.
This company is listed in the US Stock Exchange. As an early Tesla investor, what similarities do you see between Joby Aviation compared to the early days of Tesla?
When Tesla started as a public company in 2010, not sure how many people in the Wall Street believed that company will survive, right? I think maybe less than single digit percentage. And we have seen how short sellers has attacked Tesla as a company till 2019, that is 9 years. Nobody believed that electric cars will happen. Everybody said it's impossible. Same thing we are seeing today with electric VTOLs, the vertical takeoff landing aircrafts, or you can say it's a combination of a drone and a helicopter, but it's not actually a helicopter. And it is not going to be the next biggest disruption in the aviation industry. If you see the similarities, Daren, one thing that I always believed in is for 100 plus years, software industry wasn't being able to disrupt the automotive industry until Tesla, right? I say the same thing with the aviation industry. Aviation industry, as we know, is run by two companies in the world. We all know those companies, Boeing and Airbus. It is going to happen for sure. It is not the question of whether it will happen, it's a question of when it will happen.
Joby Aviation, they talk about disrupting or creating urban air mobility. What is this company trying to solve for the world?
It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry that everybody is trying to solve, including Tesla as well. How do we commute every day? We commute using cars and we get stuck in traffic. On an average, there are few billions of hours lost every day around the globe because of the traffic problem. What if instead of going 2D on the road, can you just take off from your workplace or near to your workplace and then just land near to your home and then take a car to your home as a last mile connectivity? And we're going to see it very soon. Singapore is one of the launch market for the Joby. You might have heard about Uber air taxi division called Uber Elevate. Have you heard about it?
Yes.
Yeah. So Uber started air taxi service in few cities by leveraging the existing helicopters. But again, they were not able to scale it and economically run it. And they were quickly has to go back to the drawing board and see what they can do to improve the operational efficiency. But they quickly realized with the existing helicopters, you're not able to do it because the economics won't work. Because helicopters are expensive, the maintenance is hard, operating the aircraft is hard, and the noise levels won't allow to land the helicopter on the urban cities. That's why we don't see air taxis. And it's super expensive as well. around 2019-2020, Uber decided to actually do the electric vertical takeoff landing on their own. But they quickly realized it's not going to be easy problem. They have to spend at least a decade doing that. Instead, what they have done is they have actually sold Uber Elevate to Joby. And Uber also invested in Joby. So what is going to happen is when Joby launches the operations, you can actually able to book a Joby ride through a Uber app. And their main stream of the business when they launch the commercial operation is going to be through the ride-hailing operations, where you just take the air taxi from point A to point B.
What's the deal with eVTOL that makes it a great form factor?
If you see a drone like this, it's a DJI Air2S drone. You will be surprised to understand how powerful this drone is. This drone can fly to 3000 meters altitude. 3000 meters altitude, that is approximately 15,000 feet, right? Even some of the airlines cannot go to that kind of altitude. It's a small aircraft. But this drone, which consumer drone with a battery, can go to 15,000 feet, 3000 meter altitude, and it can go to many kilometers distance as well, which is amazing. And if you look at the sound of this drone, once this takes off, you won't even hear a single noise from this. But a conventional helicopter, you have a lot of noise.
What's your take on the consumer sentiment or willingness to try this?
According to Joben, who is the CEO of Joby, his goal is when the initial operation starts of air taxi ride hailing, the cost will be almost same or little higher than Uber BlackX, the Uber luxury service. But his goal is to bring down that cost almost equivalent to yellow cabs. Okay. The normal taxis, and it is going to be possible. How feasible it is to land that vehicle on top of your condo, for example, or in your office space. Today it's not possible because of the noise generated by the helicopters. But since it's an electric, there is no engine, and the propellers are designed in such a way that there is absolutely minimal noise and you won't even hear it. The goal is 65 decibels of takeoff and landing. 65 decibels is almost same as we speaking now. Think about it.
It's crazy. You're going to watch a clip now where you just hear their demo on a Joby eVTOL compared to other options out there. Okay, now that you've seen this clip, it's really quiet. Elon has said that one of the biggest challenges in making electric aircraft is just the weight of the battery density.
Yep.
I wonder how is this a solved problem? And by the way, I noticed that the head of powertrain for Joby was a former senior director of battery engineering from Tesla.
Batteries are going to be very, very critical for eVTOL, right? Indeed, the same question was asked to Elon by none other than Joby Aviation CEO way back in 2019. The answer to that question is they all said about a magic figure called 400 whatever per kg. That number is keeping in mind of commercial operations of airlines. Think about aircraft like 7-seater or even bigger commercial airline operations where you completely replace the current aircraft with the batteries. There is a recent study done by Carnegie Mellon University mechanical engineering professors about how much watt-hour per kg is required for eVTOLs to take off. They say, again, it depends on a lot of factors. Again, if you think about a commercial airliner where you want to fly like 400 miles or 500 miles, you need 400 watt-hour per kg. But if you want to go from point A to point B and you don't want a commercial airline kind of a power, but where it can solve the air taxi problem, the energy required, the battery energy density required is approximately 220 to 300 watt hour per kg. This is for Joby. Again, Joby has one of the leading aircraft already in the market. Why it is so important? Because if you see today's batteries energy density ratio, the kind of batteries that is used in this car is 260 watt hour per kg, which Tesla already achieved, which is exactly in the mid level of where Joby is operating today. Joby has already flown on a single charge 154 miles.
Wow.
Already flown.
Okay.
Already proved, already tested. You can also find that video on the YouTube.
This business is very new. There are many other players in the industry like eHang, Volocopter. What allows Joby Aviation to uniquely solve this problem and be a market leader?
This market is very crowded now, especially with the kind of amount of success we have seen with electric vehicles like Rivian, Lucid and Tesla. There are many people trying to solve this problem as well. Joby is the industry leader. Not according to me. If you go to AAM Reality Index, Advanced Air Mobility Reality Index, you can see why Joby is the number one, #1. Because of multiple reasons. Joby is not a company which started like 2-3 years back or 4 years back. If you see other companies like Archer was founded only like 3 years back. And if you see other companies like eHang, they came into mainstream only like 4-5 years back. Joby was actually founded in 2009. And they were a stealth company for a long time. They are the first one to get FAA G1 certification. That actually forms the basis for the type certificate. They raised most amount of the money than anyone else in the market. Currently, they have around $1.3 billion cash. And according to many researchers, to get aircraft to commercial operations, you need at least 1 billion. And they have more than 1 billion. Joby is the only one company in this space having full production prototype, which got FAA airworthiness certificate.
To challenge this thesis a bit, Apple has proven to us time and time again that being first in the industry doesn't make you the market leader. Apple's usually the last in smartwatches, in VR devices later on as well, in many other fields. And Elon has said many times that prototypes are easy to build, scaling manufacturing is very hard. For Joby's vision to come to life, they're going to need many VTOL aircraft. So manufacturing, scaling it is going to be very important to lower the unit costs.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic one. We are talking about much more complex than producing the cars here. But you don't need that scale of producing cars. You don't need to produce like 1 million Joby aircraft in a year. Even a few hundreds or a few thousands will be good enough for commercial operations. Having said that, absolutely, manufacturing is super hard. It's not that easy. Elon himself has gone through the manufacturing hell. Designing a prototype is easy, but producing the aircraft is multiple times the same thing according to the standards is much more difficult. Joby not just got one production prototype which got FAA worthiness, it got the second one. And they're going to double it, if I'm not wrong, every quarter, because the reason is they have US Air Force contracts. They're the first one to get US Air Force Agility Prime into the program. And they have a contracts are worth around 40 to I think $60 million, if I'm not wrong, contracts, where they're going to deliver that aircraft to US Air Force, and they're going to start generating the revenue, if I'm not wrong, as good as this quarter or next quarter. There are a lot of myths and assumptions. Oh, this is a pre-revenue company, it's not going to generate revenue till 2024. So they are delivering this vehicle to US Air Force for US Air Force to test in various conditions. For example, rescue missions, cargo delivery. This will open up entire new paradigm of the revenue streams that we haven't seen earlier. For example, in US, if anybody gets injured, the people has to take a decision whether to take that person via ambulance or via air ambulance, which is a helicopter. But the air ambulance will cost around $40,000 for a single trip, which is not a small amount of money. That is the complexity with the helicopters. But with this, the cost of economics will come down. That means the market will expand. So US Air Force always wants to test the best of the technology. Think about having eVTOLs that can go silently and land and maybe do some rescue operations. Paul Sierra, who is the chairman of Joby, and he says that by end of 2022, they are going to deliver 10 eVTOLs to US Air Force as part of this program. Why Joby is doing this? Because of two reasons. One, they're going to generate revenue that will offset some of the R&D cost. Two, they are going to get a valuable test data back from US Air Force. That will help in the certification process.
Tesla is highly profitable now, and they're still on track to deliver 50% year-on-year growth. It's a proven business model, despite what the short-term stock prices may be. Why switch investing from Tesla, which still some people believe has a lot of headroom to grow, to Joby? What convinced you to make that leap?
According to Morgan Stanley, to start with, it's a $9 trillion industry by 2040, which is not a small market. Other thing is, we all know how complex it is to solve full self-driving in the 2D space. But in the 3D space, it is much, much easier. Flying autonomously on the air is much, much easier than driving in the 2D space. We all know that. And we also know that whenever you take a flight, like Boeing or Airbus from Singapore to, let's say, San Francisco, only initial few minutes is actually handled by the pilot.
Yes.
And the rest of the flight journey is actually completely autonomous. It's hardly pilot touches any of the controls. I mean, obviously they monitor everything, but they hardly actually fly the aircraft. So autonomous in the air is going to happen, and it is going to happen in a much simpler way and faster than what we have seen with the autonomous driving in the streets. One of the reasons why I have decided to actually go into Joby is because of Tesla as well. Again, let me tell you this, right? Most of the early Tesla investors is investing in Joby. Let's take few names, right? Capricorn Investments is again one of the early investors of Tesla. They invested in Joby. Cathy Wood, we all know, very familiar name. She actually invested in Joby through ArcX, the space themed ETF. They talk very highly about advanced air mobility.
Toyota too.
Toyota is a big one, right?
Yeah.
And Uber has invested, and the partner as well. Very well-known names have invested in Joby. That actually made me realize if smart investors are following the money, you just follow the smart investors. So that's one of the reasons why I have invested in Joby.
When Joby IPO'd and then merged with a SPAC, the share prices started around 10, high at 15, and recent times is now closer to 4.
Yep.
And these are all short-term price movements.
Yep.
What gives you the conviction for this company?
We have seen last 1 month is very volatile, right? And a lot of things doesn't make sense. If you look at even Tesla has one of the best quarter ever, right?
Down 10%.
Down 10%. Even Microsoft had one of the best quarter. It was down initially and then it went up. So market doesn't have any logic. It just follows the flow and algorithms are trading it. Just to give you some idea, right? Toyota has invested in Joby in 2020 around January time frame. They invested $400 million at a $2.6 billion valuation. Today's valuation is just $2.3 billion. How is it possible? And if you see in between, right, that last series funding and IPO, Joby raised $1.1 billion. Joby team has grown 2x. They had a significant progress in the FAA certification. They've even produced the second aircraft. They have made ton of progress. Even if you look at the last series funding valuation, $2.6 billion plus $1.1 billion cash they raised, it makes $3.7 billion at least fair valuation. But today's stock price doesn't reflect that, because the reason is markets doesn't have any logic. They don't look at all these things. What they just follow is the Nasdaq getting dumped, and I'll just follow the Nasdaq. Doesn't matter what is the company valuation, doesn't matter what the company has done, doesn't matter what is the pre-IPO valuation, doesn't matter how much cash they have. There's another company called Archer. Again, they're much behind the eVTOL certification. Even their valuation has dropped significantly. They are holding $750 million cash with almost no liabilities, because they just raised $700 million through SPAC. Today their valuation is around $680 million. How is it possible? How that valuation can go below the cash that they are holding? Because that's how market works. We have seen it with Netflix, we have seen with Tesla, and now we are seeing with Joby. I think these are the short-term price movements. I think it's a very good opportunity for the investors to invest in the next level of disruption.
Investments take time to play out. So like many long-term Tesla investors have already seen very strong returns in the past decade. Elon likes to tell early investors of companies like SpaceX that if you invest in this company, don't expect any returns in 10 to 15 years' time. So for someone who's investing in Joby Aviation, what should their expectation on returns be? Should it be a 10, 15-year horizon?
I think my idea is to be invested in Joby for at least 2030 and beyond, right? But having said that, the stock price will start moving not when they generate significant revenues. It'll start moving when they see a compelling event happening. For example, we have seen companies like Rivian and Lucid. They didn't deliver even one single car, but their valuations was like hundreds of millions of dollars. The same thing is going to happen with these companies as well. Once they get to the FAA certification stage, they have a Part 135 air carrier certification due in few months, where they're going to operate the aircraft. That certification is going to come by mid 2022. I think we will see a significant change in the price. Again, they're targeting type certification, where they get an official certification from FAA by end of 2022 or 2023. I think by the time you won't see the same stock prices. And once they start commercial operations with the Uber partnership, I think the valuations will be significantly higher. But as a long-term investor, you need to look any stock as a 7 years horizon, not just like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year.
With any disruptive company, it is very risky. Even when Elon first founded SpaceX and took over as CEO of Tesla, he gave both of these companies a 10% chance of success. He felt they're more likely to fail than succeed, but he did it because he thought it was worthwhile anyway. What would you say are the biggest risks as an investor investing in Joby Aviation?
I think any manufacturing is hard. Elon himself has told that making products is easy, but bringing it to production is always difficult, and making them work is always, and scaling them is extremely hard. So that is one of the biggest risks with the company. Tesla actually went through a lot of challenges because of funding. We have seen how close they came to bankruptcy because of ability to raise funds. But now there is a success scenario because of the Tesla. We have seen how many companies raised billions of dollars in the electric space, especially. The same applied to Joby as well. Joby is very well sufficiently funded, so that won't be risk any longer. The industry is getting very, very mature. In fact, NASA is one of the main partner of Joby. Think about NASA, right? NASA is like space agency. Why is NASA is working with Joby? And NASA has actually done many partnerships with the Joby. Joby is indeed the first one where NASA has done the acoustic testing of the Joby, like the sound profiles and everything. And also they've been a great partner of Joby in actually bringing this entire new disruption to the market.
What is your entry and exit strategy for the stock? So entry, that means will you still continue dollar cost averaging every couple of months? And exit beyond 2030, in what conditions will you say, okay, it's time to maybe reinvest somewhere else?
See, I was an early investor of Tesla. I've seen the roller coaster, and I've seen the Tesla stock has gone from $50 post split to now close to $800, $900. Most of my Tesla I have exited, and I have invested in Joby because I have believed in the company. Joby is the company that will give me hopefully the financial freedom or the end game, right? So obviously after that, maybe I don't need to think about like which next disruption company that I need to invest. Maybe I can just leave investing back in Tesla or investing back in some good dividend companies and just take out the amount of effort that I need to put in to actually research about the company, right? Because any investment needs a lot of research and due diligence that I do every day when investing in the companies. Obviously, once Joby takes off, probably I don't need to spend that much amount of time in finding another company.
Because just put in the S&P 500 ETF, 10% returns historically. It's good enough if your capital is significant. What role does Joby play in your overall investing portfolio?
Generally, I don't invest and diversify my positions, because the reason is I don't have that much time to go and research about 10 companies, right? Especially if I invest in disruptive companies, right? When I invested in Tesla, I was all in into Tesla, right? I don't have any other company in my portfolio apart from Tesla. That is going to be the same for Joby as well. So moving forward, I'm going to focus most probably only on Joby, not on any other company. So my investing philosophy is always follow the smart investors, become an early investor, and when you invest, research every day about that company, what that company is doing, right? What that company is going to do and what happened to that company. I'm very confident about Joby. I'm confident about the team, their vision, and the disruption that they're going to bring to the market. I'm ready for both the scenarios, right? But again, the chances of success are higher than chances of failure because what you have seen with the Tesla. There is an example. Earlier, there was no example, and Tesla struggled. Now there is an example, and everybody is pointing back to the Tesla, including the investors.
Tesla disrupted the automotive industry. SpaceX has disrupted the space launch industry. Early investors have been well rewarded. There is a belief right now that Joby Aviation could be next in line to disrupt urban air mobility, the eVTOL industry. Could it be a 10x opportunity? No one can give a 100% answer. All we can do to raise conviction is through research, whether through financial reports, talking to the employees, talking to competitors, talking to users, and hopefully that conviction goes up. It should be at least 50%, which is why we invest in something. Conviction should be minimum 50%. Chances of success tend to go up over time as a company progresses. Nothing's guaranteed in life, but that's why we invest. With risk comes reward. Not everything plays out, and sometimes in life we don't need every investment to be successful. Even with investing, failure sometimes is temporary. Same with success, sometimes it's temporary as well. When Tesla stock price was 1200 early on, everyone thought, wow, smart move. Now it's down. Some people say, oh, terrible stock, overvalued. Goes up again. It just swings up and down, right? There are these cycles up and down. Thank you for sharing this look on a new industry and another disruptor. There are many disruptive companies out there. Many of us, when we start investing, we have a goal. Our goal is not to be a Tesla investor or Joby investor. Our goals are to grow our wealth, to achieve financial freedom. There are many ways to achieve that goal. You don't have to invest in Tesla or Joby. But this is a very good look from someone who has so high conviction, a very early investor. Yes, it will take years to play out. So that's the power of today's world where there's so much information available. And we can always look back over the years and see what have we learned from our experiences. Thank you, Anil.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Daren, and thank you for giving the time to share my story and my conviction in Joby Aviation. Really appreciate it.
If you found this interview useful, please click the like button. If you'd like to see more interviews like this, hit subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.